What's up everyone, the day has finally arrived where we have the first eviction of the season. It's either going to be Alyssa or Travis. We are going to find out everything that's happened in the lead up to the eviction right now, guys. So welcome to your live feed update. First things first, guys, I want you to let me know in the comments who you think is going to be going home versus who you would actually like to go home. I'd just love to hear everyone's thoughts and actually see if everybody thinks that the person that is going home is the person they want to go home as well. I'm just very curious, versus essentially splitting it down the middle of who you think is going home versus who you want to go home. I've got a feeling that it's going to be quite different for everyone, but I'm very curious, so let me know in the comments, guys. Arza, Claire, Brittany and Tiffany came together to form an alliance of all girls that they called the Kingslayers. It used to be the Sirens, but it wasn't really solid, but then they've officially solidified it now as the Kingslayers. I bet you can guess what their intentions are in the house. Brittany did express the fact that girls' alliances don't work in Big Brother history. She didn't say it to these guys, but do you know what? Whilst she might get flack online, because I have seen people giving her flack online for that, it kind of is annoying because she's right. She is right as much as she's like, you can't argue with history. Like, yes, you could be the first to do it, but going off track record, you know, it doesn't seem like it's done that much. I'd be fantastic if they can do it, brilliant. I'd clap my hands, but you can't argue with statistics sometimes. And Brittany's right, you know, they don't work out. You know, I think when I think of this sort of thing, the only thing that's really worked in sort of reality TV history on these sort of things would be Survivor. I believe it was Survivor Micronesia, where Parvati led the, I think it was called the Black Widow Alliance, something like that, but she led them all the way to the final four and they managed to do that. That's the only one that I can really remember. But in Big Brother, I can't really remember. I mean, Janelle and Erica kind of teamed up at the end of 7 just to remove Will from the house, but besides from that, they were never going to take each other to the end. It was always going to be Mike. That was probably going to the end with them. So yeah, I mean, Brittany is right. They don't really work, so it's kind of good that she realizes that and is kind of distancing herself and going, yeah, okay, I've got the protection, but I'm also not going to be totally one-dimensional. I'm looking out for myself, and I need to find other different alleys that I can go down in this season, just in case it doesn't work out, which is very likely. Now, whilst Travis hasn't done an awful lot of campaigning, it seems like other people are doing the campaigning for him because they're realising that Travis is going to be a lot more loyal than Alyssa, or they feel like that is the case anyway. So Derek X was sort of saying to Frenchie that he feels he could potentially get his team to flip, and it's possible, I would say. You know, he's got Whitney in his team, he's got Brent, they may be a little hard to fit, but Derek X is extremely tight with Hannah. We're starting to see a showman sort of form between the two of them, so he could definitely have the sway with Hannah. And if he can get, you know, Travis's own team, you know, the Queens to vote alongside him, then, you know, they might actually be able to get there because, you know, that's 4 votes plus a 3, boom, 7, that's sorted. But who's to say that, you know, everybody in those 7 are actually going to flip and vote to keep Travis? But then again, they could just pull someone out from the other side who isn't in those teams and say, yeah, okay, just 1 or 2 people, you know, if they need that. It's definitely possible. We can't rule it out yet that Travis is going to stay. And do you know what? I mean, we've seen stranger things happen in Big Brother, especially on the day of the eviction. That's when hits the fan. And when the feeds go down, when they're getting ready for eviction, people start talking. And then next thing you know it, Julie Chen, welcome to Big Brother, it's time to vote. And then we're going, what just happened there? And then somebody voted the person that we didn't expect to, and then there we go, expect the unexpected, and we have the first blind side of the season. We just don't know what's going to happen. Travis could definitely end up staying. Frenchie expressed to Derek F, Hannah and Xavier that he is sick of seeing minorities go home pre-jury in Big Brother, and it really bothers him. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever that he nominated Kyland and Alyssa earlier this week, if that's the case. This is just on par with this chaos week. Frenchie making no sense whatsoever. If he's saying he's bothered that minorities go home early, why is he nominating minorities to go on the block? It makes no sense whatsoever. Alyssa was doing the rounds with her campaign, making sure she was talking to basically everyone in one-to-ones. It's quite impressive, actually, and quite threatening, really. I don't know why people didn't pick up on that, because as a fan of the show, I'm going, yes, go on, she's actually campaigning hard, this is brilliant to see. But also as a fan of the show, I'm going, guys, she's campaigning really hard, get her out, Travis is doing nothing. So there's 2 sides to it, and I guess, you know, there's benefits to both sides. If we keep her around, well, as a fan anyway, if she stays in the house, you know, we've got someone who's definitely going to play hard to stay. But equally, we are going to watch the house guests get rid of someone who is, you know, less of a threat. So it doesn't make sense sometimes, you know. So definitely 2 sides to it. But anyway, Alyssa was talking to Derek X, sort of saying that she would understand if he didn't throw his vote her way. You know, because he's obviously very pally with Travis. But she was saying, there's always that but saying, but if you do end up doing that, then it's going to give people a reason to nominate you next week as the rogue vote, as the hinky vote. And Derek X fully understands that. Alyssa then went on to talk to Hannah, sort of talking about the talks of this all-girl alliance that's supposed to be happening, and saying, I think Hannah brought up the fact that she was kind of thinking it would be ridiculous if they didn't include them in this alliance, and saying that it would be ridiculous to think that in the 21-year history of Big Brother, it would be Claire and Sarah Beth who masterminded an all-girls alliance. Now, whilst we know Sarah Beth isn't in this alliance, we know that Claire is, and I think it was kind of harsh of Hannah to say that, to be honest. And I'm not surprised Hannah wasn't involved in that alliance, because she's not very social. As much as I like Hannah, don't get me wrong, she seems really lovely, but she really talked the talk in a pre-season sort of bio in a VT, when she was sort of saying she wants to, play like this sort of really strategical game, when really she kind of just sits around the house and doesn't really do much. I'm sure, yeah, fair enough if she's feeling a bit sort of nervous or anxiety ridden, or I understand that, but I mean, just don't talk the talk, and say that you're going to do all this and then start taking the mick out of Claire and Sarah Beth for creating an alliance, even though Sarah Beth didn't do it. Like, listen, I think Claire's probably going to have a better attempt at creating this sort of big all-female alliance that's going to work, more so than Hannah would, because Hannah, as we've seen so far, hasn't really shown much promise socially, whereas Claire is kind of a social butterfly, or seems to be that way anyway. Obviously, though, this is Big Brother, things can change just like that, so expect the unexpected. Travis mainly only campaigned to Brent and Frenchie last night, and his big point was that Alyssa could end up in a showman. So that was his, that was his main sort of, I guess, headline of his campaign, really. Sort of, it's not, we are going to decrease taxes, it's Alyssa's going to end up in a showman's, and he's right. Alyssa probably will end up in a showman's. Or it could very likely happen, and I think Travis has got a girlfriend back home, so he's not going to, or we'd think he wouldn't end up in a showman's. So, it's definitely more likely that Alyssa would. But then again, it's really just weighing it out. Are we going to keep the social threat around being Alyssa, or are we going to keep the comp threat around being Travis? Even though we haven't seen him compete in a competition yet, we just know that he's going to be a lot stronger than Alyssa probably would be, just based on previous years of Big Brother and the stereotypes of people who do compete in the show. So I would say definitely the house guests have got a way out. Do they want somebody who they can beat in a comp, or somebody who they are going to struggle to beat socially? It's so many different dynamics in Big Brother, really, and as I said, could be a flip. And I think, if anything, people just need to realise what the hell's been going on with this campaign time, because Travis has basically done nothing, or very little to none, whereas Alyssa has gone left, right and centre in every damn nook and cranny of the house to campaign for herself to stay. And I think people need to go, she is good at campaigning, let's get her out, because Travis has done nothing. Alyssa continued to campaign hard throughout the night. I won't go into massive detail on the rest of them, because she basically just gave the same pitch to everyone. In essence, she was kind of saying, look, if you're going to be the rogue vote this week, not voting to evict Travis, then you're going to make yourself a target next week. So it was kind of like she was holding these people hostage, sort of saying, look, if you don't keep me around, you're going to make yourself a target next week. And I guess it works, but also equally, when she does make it to next week, which is likely, people are going to go, that was kind of a dick move what she did. So it will kind of make her a target. It's kind of this sort of ballsy confidence where I think she feels like she's entitled to stay in the house, which she's not. Nobody's entitled to stay in the house. It's Big Brother. You can go just like that. And it's week one. God, just ease off slightly. I guess it's working, but it's just, I don't know if she's doing it in the right way, or the longevity wise, it's not working. It's not going to work. It's not a strategy to work long term in the Big Brother house. But anyway, she continued to campaign, and she kept throwing Derek X's name out, as well as the person who should probably be targeted next week. I don't really feel the need that Derek X needs to be targeted. There's definitely bigger threats in the house than Derek X at the moment. You've just got to look at some people. I know it sounds really bad just to sort of saying, like, look, but in Big Brother history, we know that people can steamroll to the end just from being comp beast, from being extremely physically fit, and there's a good half of the house that are extremely, I would say, physically fit, that could dominate in comps. So definitely more people than Derek X to target. But then again, he did win the veto, so there's two sides to every story. You've got to look at it and say who's it going to be. But personally, I don't think Derek X is the one to target. But we saw Xavier end the night looking at the camera, saying that he's going to throw the head of household competition the first chance that he gets. And he said, listen, if somebody outside the slaughterhouse ends up winning the head of household, that doesn't sound like a slaughterhouse, that doesn't sound like an Xavier problem, it sounds like a slaughterhouse problem. So he's really looking out for himself, and it's good that he hasn't got that mentality of, we've got to look out for the big alliance, we've got to look out for the big alliance. He's looking out for Xavier, just like you should. You look out for yourself. It's every man for yourself in the Big Brother house. That's exactly what we want to see players do this year. That is all of your live feed updates for today, folks. I thoroughly hope you enjoyed watching. Please let me know in the comment section who you think is going to be evicted tonight first from the Big Brother 23 house, and who you would like to see evicted first. I'd like to see the comparison. Is it the same person, or is it two different people? I'm very, very intrigued, guys, so let me know. And any of your other thoughts on the season so far, just drop it in the comment section below. I'd love to hear your opinions. But guys, thank you so much for watching. I really genuinely do appreciate every single last one of you. I hope you're all staying safe, stay healthy, and staying positive out there, and be kind to one another. But in the meantime, guys, don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Do all of that stuff. But until your next live feed update, I've been your host, Tom Vasey. Good night.